Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Going For It Sim Studio. So today we're gonna do things a little bit different. I'm gonna have you watch me practice. So it's gonna kind of accomplish a couple things. I wanna show you how I utilize simulator technology for efficient practice. And I also kind of wanna show everybody how I've been progressing. This is gonna give you a really good look at my swing, what's happening, and what I'm currently learning right now. In my last update video, I had mentioned how the last 5 to 6 weeks have been the most difficult in this journey, and this is exactly what I've been working on. It's taken me a long time, and boy, can I tell you that if I was learning this outside, there's no way. I would have quickly gone right back to my old habits and not even bothered to set up my swing for further progression, because if I'm paying for a tee time, I just want to go out in the course and have a good time. So let's jump right into what I'm doing and get after metrics. All right, everyone, so here's what I'm trying to do right now. This is what has been so difficult for me in the last 5 to 6 weeks. So before we talk about what's on the screen and what I've got set up down here, I'll show you where it all started. So in my backswing, what I was doing was rolling open the club face, and then at the top of my swing, which would be P4-5, I was wide open. And that meant that when I came down through impact, I basically had to time it. On top of that, I wasn't hitting down on the ball. I was basically scooping everything, and it was becoming more and more difficult for me to go from outside to in, no matter how deep my swing was. So what we decided to work on to fix this and to help my swing in the future, even though I technically was scoring pretty well on the sim, we need to be able to set up for the future, was just a simple square the club face up at P2 to the arc, and then have it all the way up. Then as I came down, make sure that my wrists were in flexion through impact, which gives me the forward shaft lean that everybody talks about. The reason for that is you're gonna get a more square impact on the ball, as you can see here, where the ball spin is a perfect backspin. It's got no goofy side spin on it that causes that inaccurate, very inconsistent ball flight. So the way I've set my drill up here is kind of gonna help me focus on a few different things. I have an alignment stick set here so that I can see my club face is impacting the ground after the ball. So the low point is further than the ball. We swing on an arc, right? The ball is just in the way. We're trying to get that low point after the ball. So I can see that pretty clearly here. Yes, I have data here that we'll talk about in a second. The other thing that I'm doing is I have a ball back here. The reason for that is when I come through, I want to make sure that my spine angle is back, my head stays behind the ball, so that I can keep the club face square and ahead of my hands here. So when I'm like this, and I'm looking at that ball, and that'll keep my head back, and that'll push my belt in front of my buttons. Belt in front of buttons. And so the key to all this is the small things, right? I'm trying to train my hands to be inflection back here and inflection through impact. I'm training my hands. So as you'll see, I'm not doing full swings. I'm doing P3 to P8s, basically half swings. And all I'm trying to do is make sure the club face stays square to the arc, a little ahead of me here. By P2, we're here. My hands aren't too far ahead. I've got a closed club face, and we're gonna come to about here. P3 is arm parallel, closed face. I wanna make a little loop to shallow the club, get an in to out path, make sure that my weight is moving forward, pushing off the inside of my foot for my pivot, not spinning. That's a habit that I have that's been terrible. And at impact, I'm hitting down on the ball, and I'm keeping that club nice and closed right here as I go through my impact. And it's a sound. It makes a different sound, which is pretty crazy. And once you start feeling and hearing that sound, oh, it's awesome. It's also allowed me to draw the ball for the first time ever. That's been pretty wild. So when I see a draw now, it's exciting. It's pretty cool. Everything I used to do was fades because so much of my ball striking was out to in. So here, the way I'm able to not only visualize what I'm doing, but I can use a simulator to get this data. All I'm looking at is mainly on that side of the screen there. And I could come over here and make it a little bit bigger for you. So this particular swing, I'm 5.2 degrees in to out. That means my swing path is going in to out. That's what we want in golf. So all the beginners watching this, that's really what we want. That's what we're after. That's going to give us more distance. It's going to give us more consistency, and it's going to give us a ball flight that we're looking for. And then I can also see here that I was down 13.9 degrees on a descending attack angle. That is another metric I'm looking at. If I were to scoop the ball, it would show an ascending attack angle at X amount of degrees. That's what we don't want. The ball goes further sometimes. It's very inconsistent. It's not the proper golf swing. 13.9 is a bit steep, but I'm working so hard to train my hands that I'm going to get too steep, and I don't really have the skill and ability to control that attack angle quite yet. So the rest of it, I don't really care about right now. My distance, my carry, club speed, ball speed, vertical launch, you could use that technically you could take the loft minus your attack angle, and that's another way to get your attack angle basically. And it kind of shows you how much shaft lean you have. But as long as we're hitting down on it and my wrists are at flexion at impact, I know that I've got the shaft lean that I'm looking for. And then side spin, I don't want any. I'm trying to get as little side spin as possible. So every once in a while, I'll kind of take a look at that. Apex, I don't want anything 90 feet. I don't need any crazy high type apexes, but I'm not really looking at that a whole lot right now. It's really this guy over here. So to do this drill, there's two ways that you can do this utilizing About Golf. You can change down here on the bottom, where it says save shot, change that to practice. And it doesn't matter what club you use. You're not going to get all the data, but really what you can do is just repeatedly do that. Just over and over, train those hands, and it's pretty much an instantaneous, repetitive motion as if you were at a driving range. Because About Golf is the most accurate, it's also the most instant feedback that you can get out of a golf simulator. So when I hit the ball, it's an almost immediate ball flight as if I was outside. You're not going to see that with every single simulator, so there may be maybe a little bit of a delay in yours, but that's okay. The other way, and the way I do it, because I do want the data and I would like the data saved so I can go back and look at it, I keep it on, save shot, and I just take the auto continue and I drop it down to a second. Now, that was a huge mistake for me initially trying to learn this, because I just was getting so frustrated. I just kept hitting. And I ended up injuring myself. So if you're doing that, be careful, be mindful, make sure that your practice is efficient. So let's go ahead here and we'll hit some balls. Now, as I do this, to get a couple good practice swings, you should be able to just mow that grass right ahead of the impact. And when you feel like you got it, you come down and we go. Now there, I felt like I didn't look at the back ball. I did get a draw, and I don't think I shows 6.4 degrees attack angle. I didn't really feel that. I felt like I didn't quite get my weight forward. So what I do is I come back, a couple more practice swings. And remember what I did wrong on that one. I wasn't looking at my back ball. So let's shift the weight and look at the back ball. Earn another strike. Loose arms. That's the sound I want, but my club face was a little open. So how do I analyze that one? I was down fine, I was into out great. But what I know I did, I didn't have my hands in flexion. My wrists weren't in flexion as much as they should have been. So when I came through without the flexion I needed, club face was slightly open. So we do the same thing. Now on these practice swings, I want to focus on making sure I keep my wrists in flexion, just like that. And when I feel it again, give it another go. So again, not a full swing. And in fact, I could even shorten the swing a little bit. Start small. You know, you should be able to do this exact same thing with just a very light hit, just to train those hands to get that tour-like swing. You know, I may have been a little bit too much flexion there. Maybe I had the club face closed somewhere else on setup. You know, you want to be mindful of your setup and your grip. Your address should always focus on that. But you can just do little guys. You know, I maybe need to do a couple practice swings on that one. I wasn't quite hitting down. I hit the ball, but I didn't get any divot. There we go. That's what I want. It only takes a couple hundred times until you really kind of figure it out. And the way I do it is, this is a 9-iron, by the way, is I start with a 9-iron generally. And then what I'll do is I'll get bigger swings, because if you train your hands, everything should be the same. You're just changing the range of motion. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add club speed. Therefore, you're going to get distance. But if your hands are properly trained, and it's hard, keep your shoulders soft, nice, good, relaxed. Should be able to get some full swings. I felt like I scooped that a little bit. 1.4 degrees down, so to me that's pretty much a scoop. So I really need to get that, you know, and that slide, come back and shift. That's hard for me. And then what I'll do is I'll just switch it up. We'll put the 9 up. I usually skip one. Go to a 7. Oh, that's an 8. Go to a 7. And I'll do the same thing. Start small. I hit a little behind the ball on that one. Get a couple good practice swings here. Make sure that you're getting the forward flexion in those wrists. Wrists weren't quite in flexion again, but it was good. It was better. Good sound. Get hit down on the ball. It's pretty well into out. That's great. You know, that's what I want to do. And I do that for about an hour and a half. You know, since I'm not doing full swings, it doesn't really take a lot out of me. I can really kind of focus. And in reality, even from a P3 swing, you should be able to get a lot of your distance out of that. You know, with this 7-iron, I can generally get 165 out of it from just P3. Just lead arm parallel. If I hit it correctly down on the ball, I get a good ball flight. Sounds great. And then you just keep on going. See that one? I didn't get a divot. I was a little inside on the club. Went a long ways, but we just practice. So that's how it goes. And just keep doing it over and over. And I move up clubs, then I move back down clubs. You know, I have found that I start out really well with the club, and then I kind of break out of my habits and I go fall back into old habits. So I'll fall to a different club and try again. And I've been doing this every single day, and I'm slowly getting much, much better. So give it a shot yourself. Take advantage of a simulator. I cannot tell you enough. Again, I would never be able to do this outside. I would have such a hard time going to a driving range. You don't necessarily get the data you have. Take advantage of these suckers. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Until next time.